which of course there are links to in the description. You should go check it out. But I'm really looking forward today. We're gonna look at some pens and stuff. I, of course, am a little bit new to pens comparatively.
Then there were the Christmas cards. One day, only a few weeks after I had arrived at Los Alamos, Arlen says, "I thought it would be nice to send Christmas cards to everybody. Would you like to see the ones I picked out? They were nice cards, alright, but inside they said Merry Christmas from Rich and Putsy. I can't send these to Fermi and Bez, I protested. I hardly even know them. What do you care what other people think? Naturally. So we sent them. Next year comes around and by this time I know Fermi. Enrico Fermi, right? I know Bez. I've been over at their houses. I've taken care of their kids. We are all very friendly." Somewhere along the line, Arlen says to me in a very formal tone, "You haven't asked me about our Christmas cards this year, Richard." Fear goes through me. Well, let's see the cards. The cards say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Richard and Arlen Feynman. Well, that's fine, I say. They are very nice. They'll go fine for everybody. Oh no, she says. They won't do for Fermi and Bez and all those other famous people. Sure enough, she's got another box of cards. She pulls one out. It says usual stuff and then from Dr. and Mrs. R.P. Feynman. So I had to send them those. "What's this formal stuff, Dick?" They laughed. They were happy that she was having such a good time out of it and that I had no control over it. Arlen didn't spend all of her time inventing games. She had sent away for a book called Sound and Symbol in Chinese. It was a lovely book. I still have it with about 50 symbols done in beautiful calligraphy with explanations like a traveler. 3 women in the house. She had a light paper, brushes, and ink, and was practicing the calligraphy. She had also bought a Chinese dictionary to get a lot of other symbols. One time when I came to visit her, Arlen was practicing these things. She says to herself, "No, that one's wrong." So I, the greatest scientist, say, "What do you mean wrong? It's only a human convention. There is no law of nature which says how they are supposed to look. You can draw them any way you want. I mean, artistically, it's wrong. It's a question of balance, of how it feels. But one way is just as good as another," I protest. "Here," she says, and she hands me the brush. "Make one yourself." So I made one and I said, "Wait a minute, let me make another one. It's too blobby." I couldn't say it was wrong after all. "How do you know how blobby it's supposed to be?" she says. I learned what she meant. There is a particular way you have to make the stroke for it to look good. Exactly. An aesthetic thing has a certain character which I can't define. Because it couldn't be defined made me think there was nothing to it. But I learned from that experience that there is something to it, and it's a fascination I've had for art ever since. Just at this moment, my sister sends me a postcard from Oberlin, where she's going to college. It's written in a pencil with a small symbol. It's in Chinese. Joanne is 9 years younger than I am and studied physics too. Having me as her older brother was tough on her. She was always looking for something I couldn't do and was secretly taking Chinese. Well, I didn't know any Chinese, but one thing I'm good at is spending an infinite amount of time solving a puzzle. The next weekend, I took the card with me to Albuquerque. Arlen showed me how to look up the symbols. You have to start in the back of the dictionary with the right category and count the number of strokes. Then you go into the main part of the dictionary. It turns out each symbol has several possible meanings and you have to put several symbols together before you can understand it. With great patience, I worked everything out. Joanne was saying things like, I had a good time today. There was only one sentence I couldn't figure out. It said, yesterday we celebrated Mountain Forming Day. Obviously an error. It turns out they did have some crazy things called Mountain Forming Day at the Overlin, and I had translated it right. So it was a trivial things like you'd expect to have on a postcard, but I knew from a situation that Joanne was trying to floor me by sending me Chinese. I looked back and forth through the art book and picked out 4 symbols which would go well together. Then I practiced each one over and over. I had a big pad of paper and I would make 50 of each one until I got it just right. When I had accidentally made one good example of each symbol, I saved them. Arlen approved, and we glued the 4 of them end to end, one on top of the other. Then we put a little piece of wood on each end, and so you could hang it up on the wall. Sure. I took a picture of my masterpiece with Nick Metropolis camera, rolled up the scroll, put it in a tube, and sent it to Joanne. So she gets it. She unrolls it and she can't read it. It looks to her as if I simply made 4 characters, one right after the other, on the scroll. She takes it to her teacher. Okay. The first thing he said is, this is written rather well. Did you do this? Oh no, what does it say? Elder brother also speaks. I am a real bastard. I'd never let my little sister score 1 on me. Okay. When Arlen's condition became much weaker, her father came out from New York to visit her. It was difficult and expensive to travel that far during the war, but he knew the end was near. One day he telephoned me at Los Alamos. You'd better come down here right away, he said. I had arranged ahead of time with a friend of mine at Los Alamos, Klaus Fuchs, to borrow his car in the case of an emergency, so I could get to Albuquerque quickly. I picked up a couple of hitchhikers to help me in case something happened on the way. Sure enough, as we were driving into Santa Fe, we got a flat tire. No. The hitchhikers helped me change the tire. Then on the other side of Santa Fe, the spare tire went flat, but there was a gas station nearby. I remember waiting patiently for the gas station man to take care of some other car when the 2 hitchhikers, knowing the situation, went over and explained to the man what it was. He fixed the flat tire right away. We decided not to get the spare tire fixed because repairing it would have taken even more time. We started out again towards Albuquerque, and I felt foolish that I hadn't thought to say anything to the gas station man when time was so precious. About 30 miles from the Albuquerque, we got another flat. No way! We had to abandon the car and we hitchhiked the rest of the way. I called up a towing company and told them the situation. I met Aaron's father at the hospital. He had been there for a few days. I can't take it anymore, he said. I have to go home. He was so unhappy he just left. No. When I finally saw Aaron, she was very weak and a bit fogged out. She didn't seem to know what was happening. She stared straight ahead most of the time, looking around a little bit from time to time, and was trying to breathe. Every once in a while, her breathing would stop, and she would sort of swallow, and then it would start again. It kept going like this for a few hours. No. I took a little walk outside for a while. I was surprised that I wasn't feeling what I thought people were supposed to feel under the circumstances. Maybe I was fooling myself. I wasn't delighted, but I didn't feel terribly upset. Perhaps because we had known for a long time that it was going to happen. It's hard to explain if a Martian who, we'll imagine, never dies except by accident, came to Earth and saw this peculiar race of creatures, these humans who live about 70 or 80 years, knowing that death is going to come. It would look to him like a terrible problem of psychology. To live under those circumstances, knowing that life is only temporary. Yes. Well, we humans somehow figure out how to live despite this problem. We laugh, we joke, we live. The only difference for me and Aaron was instead of 50 years, it was 5 years. No way. It was only a quantitative difference. The psychological problem was just the same. The only way it would have become any difference is if we had said to ourselves, but those other people have it better because they might live 50 years. But that's crazy. Why make yourself miserable? Saying this thing like why do we have such a bad luck? What has God done to us? What have we done to deserve this? All of which, if you understand reality and take it completely into your heart, are irrelevant and unsolvable. They are just things that nobody can know. Your situation is just an accident of life. We had a hell of a good time together. I came back into her room. I kept imagining all the things that were going on psychologically, the lungs, and getting enough air into the blood, which makes the brain fogged out, and the heart weaker, which makes breathing even more difficult. No way. I kept expecting some sort of the avalanching effect with anything caving in together in a dramatic collapse. But it didn't appear that way at all. She just slowly got more foggy, and her breathing gradually became less and less until there was no more breeze. But just before that, there was a very small one. The nurse on her rounds came in and confirmed that Aaron was dead. No, Aaron was dead. And went out. I want to be alone for a moment. I sat there for a while and then went over to kiss her one last time. I was very surprised to discover that her hair smelled exactly the same. Of course, after I stopped and thought about it, there was no reason why a hair should smell different in such a short time. But to me, it was a kind of a shock, because in my mind something enormous had just happened and yet nothing had happened. No way. The next day, I went to the mortuary. The guy hands me some rings he's taken from her body. Would you like to see your wife one last time? He asks. What kind of a... No, I don't want to see her. No, I said. I just saw her. Yes, but she's being all fixed up, he says. This mortuary stuff was completely foreign to me. Fixing up a body when there is nothing there, I didn't want to look at the RN again. That would have made me more upset. I called the towing company and got the car and packed RN's stuff in the back. I picked up a hitchhiker and started out of the Albuquerque. No way, Feynman, Mr. Feynman. It wasn't more than the 5 miles before. Bang! Another flat tire. I started to curse. The hitchhiker looked at me like I was mentally unbalanced. It's just a tire, isn't it? He says. Yeah, it's just a tire and another tire and again another tire and another tire. We put the spare tire on and went very slowly all the way back to Los Alamos without getting other tire repaired. I didn't know how I was going to face all my friends at Los Alamos. I didn't want people with long face talking to me about the death of Arlen. Somebody asked me what happened. She's dead. And how is the program going? I said. They called on right away that I didn't want to moon over it. Only one guy expressed his sympathy, and it turns out he had been out of the town when I came back to Los Alamos. One night I had a dream, and Arlen came into it. Yes. I know this. This happened. Okay, I know that. Right away I said to her, No, you can't be in this dream. You are not alive. Yes. I know it. Then later I had another dream with Arlen in it. I started in again saying, You can't be in this dream. No, she says. I fooled you. I was tired of you. So I cooked up the loose so I could go on my way. But now I like you again, so I've come back. My mind was really working against itself. I know that. I had to be explained even in a goddamn dream why it was possible that she was still there. I must have done something to myself psychologically. I didn't cry until about a month later when I was walking past a department store in the Oak Ridge and noticed a pretty dress in the window. I thought Arlen would like that. And then it hit me. Yes, of course, yes. Oh my God, of course, I know that feeling.